All right, everybody. Hello, hello. I just finished doing a remote. I've done remotes for the last couple of days, and I just decided to collect them and put them into one video, which of course is in my bed because that is where I am when I do my remotes. So there's a couple things going on. The first thing I want to say is that I want people to view this as if it's like a trilogy. I think I've said that to a couple people. I want to say it here again. So we have just finished chapter two, or book one. In book one, it ends with Biden winning and everybody celebrating and Whimsy singing goofy songs on YouTube, etc., etc. And then the energy dissipates, and then we begin with book two. And a couple things are happening in book two. It's the great unity. It's the birth of green capitalism. It's probably going to be a Senate that, even if it's Republican dominant, we could see Republicans oust Mitch McConnell because of pressure to engage in cooperation. So we could see somebody more of a moderate like a Mitt Romney coming in. Also, there's just more of a feeling of cooperation in general. So the first part of the battle is going to be the Senate. That's the first part of book two. Now, the interesting thing about this is that we may also see in the new Senate people breaking away from Mitch McConnell, breaking away from that old rigid paradigm. I don't know why this is happening, because it seems like he controls what the GOP has an agenda, and if you break away from it, they cut the finances. So it's very hard to break away. That's the reason why they all have to be lockstep. Same with the Democratic Party. It's very difficult to break away because they won't fund your campaign. They'll start defunding you. So that's kind of the battle that's going on right now. So the Senate is part of book two. Right now we're looking at 49-51 with 51 seats going to the Republicans, but we could see Mitt Romney breaking away. And the reason he's not intimidated is because he's rich and he's probably only going to do one term in the Senate anyway. He doesn't need Mitch McConnell's money. And so it's given him kind of an independence. So he could break away, and so could Murkowski and Collins. And then we have a tie also with the vice president. So it may turn out not to be as bad as people think. The second part of this remote has to do with the increasingly emotionally erratic behavior of Donald Trump. It begins with him refusing to leave after the votes, and possibly refusing to go to the inauguration, refusing to engage in the normal activities. So it could be a situation where we see Mike Pence attending those events instead of the president. It's Mike Pence that's going to be escorted to off the premises, during the exchange of the presidents, that vulnerable time. Trump appears too emotionally erratic to engage in that. His mental health scares his advisors. We may be at a point where now Lindsey Graham comes in and asks him to resign. Now, with a resignation, if Pence gives him some kind of a deal, he may be able to avoid some charges. If he waits until the end, he may not see the same mercy from President Joe Biden. So that's another reason why it may fit in with so many of the remotes turn out with him resigning, talking to Lindsey Graham, being talked off the ledge, resign, clean up your situation, and then you can run in 2024. It seems to be following along that timeline. He resigns, Lindsey Graham talks to him, the people are pressuring him to resign, He's convicted in the House, but not in the Senate. Excuse me. This would explain why we're starting to see this weird behavior from Lindsey Graham, and now suggestions that things are somehow going to happen for you in 2024. Excuse me. The second part of this remote, and this is the really important part, is that Trump's followers are becoming increasingly dangerous, and that's putting people at risk. And so to be mindful and to be careful of that. If someone gets attacked, or if there's a major event, that is also going to put pressure on Trump to resign. If there were a domestic terrorist attack, something like that. So just to be mindful that a lot of people are angry, they're very upset. It doesn't have to happen, but because there is that kind of energy around, that could be an additional thing that pressures Trump to take the resignation. The last part of the remote this part of the remote on Trump had to do with the fact that I saw Trump as a temperamental child that didn't want to get into the car. He didn't want to get into the car, and he sat there, the Four of Cups. He refuses to leave. And the only way you can get that child to get into the car is if you lure him with candy. And that is the psychological state we're dealing with. So the only way we're going to get Donald Trump to get into that car while he sits there pouting is if we have something he wants more than where he's currently at. And so there has to be some kind of candy, something that seduces and pulls him away. This goes back to ironically, the art of the deal, right? You have to sell them the fantasy. And so in a sense, he sees what people are trying to do. You're trying to give me the art of the deal. You're some fantasy, and then pull me in. And so on some level, he's aware of the con because he has done the con himself. So he is aware to some extent of the con that's being done on him. The other part of this remote is that Biden is receiving private phone calls, possibly even from Lindsey Graham, or even people that you wouldn't expect him to be hearing from, saying that they are privately acknowledging that he is the next president, but that things are very delicate right now. So by tomorrow, by Thursday, Friday, we'll start to see a shift. And I think it's very close to seeing Trump possibly resigning, leaving, because I can't see him being there when the transition happens. The other thing is that I see here is that people will not want to risk prison for Donald Trump. If he is putting people's lives at risk, if there's a red alert at the Pentagon because he has crazy people in the Pentagon, that's another reason, that's another grounds to trigger Article 25 or an emergency situation, because the military feels he is a threat. There's now medical evidence because he's had a disease that can affect brain health. You could argue mental illness and probably do a pretty good job because he had COVID. We're on the verge very soon, possibly even before Donald Trump steps down, that the FBI will begin to arrest people. We'll start seeing some high-profile arrests. And the last thing is just that I left with was, again, the remote viewing where Donald Trump, I found myself in the hospital at Walter Reed being asked a ton of questions, and I began to feel a little paranoid and suspicious that the questions were aimed at determining whether or not I was mentally able to function. All right. That's all I have tonight. Thank you for watching this remote from my bed. Be sure and share, like, subscribe. Click the bell notification if you'd like to see more of my remotes. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, they're actually usually done at my desk. You can go to tarotwithwhimsy.com. Thanks, everyone. Peace out, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.